Well, hello there and welcome to the Big Q, where we bridge the gap to your leaders. And today I have the pleasure of hosting the Minister for Youth and ICT, Honorable Philbert Nsengimana. Thank you very much, sir, for making time to be with us.
Pleasure.
And welcome to our program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, in the recent years, it has been highlighted that the low internet penetration, low digital literacy, poor local content development that have been challenges in the ICT sector. Is this still the same years later?
Well, I think those are challenges that we have to overcome, continue overcoming with time, because the moment you resolve a problem, there is demand for better. Initially, we started with access to basic ICT infrastructure, like the ability to make a phone calls from wherever you are in the country. That problem is largely resolved when we have more than 99% of the people in the country being able to make a phone call just on a simple 2G. But now the demand for internet is rising. 5 years ago, we had less than 5% of Rwandans using internet. Today, we're talking about close to 40%. But those who are not yet connected need to be connected. And the three challenges that you are naming are the very challenges that are preventing people from getting connected and remaining connected. Availability of coverage network, digital literacy, and availability of local content that is relevant to everyone's business.
So how do we face this challenge? How do we see it, cease once and for all?
Well, I think we need to pursue some of the efforts we've started and accelerate some others. For instance, on the digital literacy, we just launched a program called Digital Ambassadors, which aims at training 5 million Rwandans by 2020 using what we call an army of digital ambassadors. These young people who are digital literate anyway, who've graduated from schools and universities and are not currently employed. So we're working with all our partners to see how do we empower those young people so that they can go down into the communities, their very own communities, and train people on how to make the best use of these technologies.
Now, Graham on Twitter asked, is the 4G for real? How come it's slower than the 2G? And in general, why is the internet getting slower than it used to be when you first started?
It's an interesting question. I think it's more of a perception, because the more you get in terms of these technologies, the more you get, the more you want.
Yes.
Definitely, those technologies are out there. It is for real. There is no way in a million years that 4G LTE network can be slower than 2G. For me, I prefer to say that 2G is not actually in internet. When we count people who are connected, we don't even count those who are connected on 2G because it's too slow. It's a technology that's 10 years old, so we've moved to 3G and now 4G. Now, on the coverage side, we've got more than 65% of the country covered on 4G LTE networks. Now, the problem that we're facing today is people having handsets that are 4G ready. We still have issues on affordability of 4G networks. That's why we really want to encourage businesses to build Wi-Fi networks, and the government actually, to build Wi-Fi networks on top of it, because most of the handsets and the smart devices are Wi-Fi enabled, but not 4G enabled.
And Ms. Karache via Facebook asked, what happened to the ICT buses, the free internet area besides the car-free zone? Where else do we have it? And the one at Nyabugogo is even forgotten. It doesn't work anymore.
Well, the ICT buses is working. We've experienced some problems in the past with the provider, but now those problems are fixed. The Wi-Fi is working in 426 buses. It's not all the buses, of course, and we keep extending so that we make sure that all the buses are covered, and even we go into the buses that in other cities and the buses that cross the country. For the what was the other question?
The car-free zone areas, where else can they go get the free Wi-Fi besides
now,
the car-free zone?
For the car-free zone, I think we are grateful to have Tigo providing free internet in the car-free zone. We tried to offer in some other hotspots, like Nyabugogo at the launch. But then our partners, we need to thank them because they provided this connectivity free of charge. But at some point they said it is not working well with their business models. Alternatively, what they offer is very affordable packages. So you've had Airtel, Tigo almost giving internet away for free on the handsets so that people can use it in a number of hours. Then at 50 francs, for instance, you get a bundle that allows you to remain connected for the whole day.
Yeah.
As much as we want some zones to provide free Wi-Fi like in the buses, but we also understand that these people have invested money in providing this connectivity. They need to get a bit back on their investment. But I would say that it is still our big intention as far as government is concerned, because under the guidance of His Excellency the President, internet is looked at as a utility. So if you think about it, when you visit a government office, you ask to use the men's room or the restroom, you are not charged. It should be the same. You know, the light, water is not charged. The running water is not charged. So we want to be able to provide internet as a service that is bundled with other services to improve the quality of service. So we are saying that for those who are offering a service, whether free or paid, most of the services are paid. If the service is paid, then factor into the price of providing connectivity on top of that, so that when I pay my bottle of water, I know that I can sit comfortably and enjoy my water and my connectivity.
A related question to that, Namujisha on Twitter says, internet seems to be becoming expensive by day. Why is this? And I judge this by the bundles that we buy from our telecom houses. The bundles reduce, but the prices go up.
Well, actually, it's not true. If you really look at the historic trend of prices of internet, actually the prices have reduced dramatically. And I think there is a perception that internet should be free because utilities are free. They are not free. Somebody is paying the cost of providing that behind. You may not feel the pinch, but somebody is paying. And most of the time, the customer, actually the end user, is paying in a way or another. There are even these free services where the only payment is for you to watch an ad. You watch that advertisement, but the next time you go to buy an item from that company that advertised. So it's actually not free, but you pay for it with time. But what I want to say is this, is that Rwanda has the most affordable internet in the continent. And that is a report for 2 years in a row. A report of the Alliance for Affordable Internet, both in absolute terms, like how much money do you pay to get 1 megabyte or 1 gigabyte, but also in terms of progressive policies that make internet affordable to people. So I would direct people to do a bit of research and look, what is the average revenue per user that these telecom companies are making from us? You will find that in Rwanda is slightly less than $2 per month per customer, whereas in the next cheapest destination, it's $5. So Rwanda's market is twice as affordable as any nearest market, even in this region, keeping in mind that this connectivity to internet, for you to get to internet, you use these networks which cross other countries to connect you to the rest of the world, and we still provide internet that is more affordable than even those countries where we buy connectivity. So we've had really to squeeze as much as we can to sensitize the operators so that we extend the benefits of connectivity to the people and grow our economy much faster. But one would ask,
who follows up? Do you follow up to see indeed that these telecom houses do not, pull up the prices like some are claiming?
I do personally follow up. You may be surprised, but these are things I monitor because I know that they matter a lot. They show the health of the industry. But we have a Rwanda Regulatory Utility Agency, Rwanda Utility Regulatory Agency, which is in charge of doing that. And by regulation, the providers are obliged, they are supposed, they are expected to publish their tariff information every month. So that information is always available and can easily be compared with what is happening in the other countries. Now,
Juliet asks, where are the Positivo laptops that we were being told about? Where are they being sold and how much are they?
Well, there are now 2 versions of this laptops in the market. There was the first generation, if you want, of laptops, which were meant for primary and low secondary school. They are there. They are being distributed by the Ministry of Education through the Rwanda Education Board. And there is a second generation that is already in the market that is now...
is it public, though?
It is public. Okay. It is public. Those computers are available. There is a resale distribution company called ASID, which is in charge of distributing those computers, and those ones can be used by anybody in the market, the higher specifications.
Are they easily found in the market?
They are easily found in the market. They are primarily targeted to the education sector. That's a license that we have for the software we have on it, but we are negotiating other licenses for the general market.
Muhire says African startups are working on landmines. 1, there are no funds. 2, low qualifications. And 3, the first-time investors, they either have no funds, and if they have the funds, they want to buy you out. What are we doing to see that our developers are protected against this, and they can even grow, you know, and become the next Mark Zuckerbergs that we have? Absolutely.
So those 3 are probably the most important questions when you look at an ecosystem that is able to produce startups that will grow and become big. First, I would put skills ahead, because when you look at the quality of the products we have, there is a lot of improvement that is needed, and the improvement depends on first of all the quality of the education that the young people get from their different schools, but also the self-motivation, because as far as ICT is concerned, the knowledge is out there on internet. There are people who are programmers today who have never attended a programming class. Actually, I met one the other day at Calab who's developing a successful product, has never taken any computer programming course, taught himself what he's doing. So that's one. The question of money, I believe that it's not a big question. I would challenge anybody who is a good, not an idea, but a product.
The product.
Because we run all these competitions all the time. So many have already run this year, and we are coming up with the Face the Gorilla program during Transform Africa. So the money is not the problem. There are investors. We've been bringing investors who are scouting this market. I can tell you that every good product has already received so many offers for partnership, for equity participation, or buyout, as the one who asked the question mentioned. So I would say this, that as much as we are working to make innovation capital easily available, you've heard that we are finalizing a fund that government has initiated, but which is going to be privately managed, 100 million, that is coming up to make it easily available, not only to Rwandans, but also to young Africans who are willing to locate here in Rwanda. So that is one. So money is going to be looking for the right solutions. So the question is, where is your solution? The other time, the president of the World Bank visited Calab, and I was with him. He used to ask one simple question to everyone around there. He was asking them, how is this different from what is already available? You are working on an education software. How is this different from the thousands of education software that are out there? So we need to be more innovative. Definitely, there is a law to protect intellectual property. Calab is helping all its members to register with RDB, the intellectual property, if there is any type of invention that is there. So that shouldn't be a problem. Most of these things, there is not even an intellectual property. You just need to be good at commercialization. Mark Zuckerberg became what he is today, not because he invented social networking. There was MyFace and so many other successful social networking, but he just executed. He came up with a very good product, and he ran his business excellently.
So the key you're saying is think outside the box.
Think as if there is no box.
Absolutely. Now, laptops per child, and we kept saying that upgraded laboratories and the use of 50% e-learning programs should be encouraged in both secondary schools and universities. But Mark says we have schools that charge for internet fee. Why can't we have a package deal for schools so that we can see our children get interactive with the internet world?
I'm very intrigued to see which schools charge for internet fee, because internet is like a library. So it's really part of the learning package. This is like when you go into a hotel, you've paid your room and everything, and then when you want to access to internet, they charge you extra. It is wrong.
It is illegal?
Well, there is no law technically that says the school cannot charge for internet to students, but it's wrong, it's counterproductive, it's a lose-lose game for those managers of those schools who are charging internet. And I'd like to know which ones, so that we can sensitize the owners and the managers to realize how they are making their own lives difficult and making the lives of their customers, who are the students, difficult.
And Rose says, youth and employment, what is the ministry doing to see that the many youth that are jobless are helped? We also need more recreational sports.
That is true. We have an employment problem. Comparatively with other countries, it's not as worse, but it's a very concerning issue, and it's growing, and we need to do more. And this is a result of the fact that we've opened the gates of education to everyone. So the education system is supplying more graduates than the market is able to absorb at once. So we need to work on the other side of the market to make sure that we make the job of those entrepreneurs easy, because we know that 90% of new jobs are created by these small and medium enterprises, actually in the rural areas. That's why new jobs are being created. So that's what the survey of the National Institute of Statistics found. So we need to be doing more in terms of facilitating these new companies so that they can grow and employ more. We have the National Employment Program, which has been tackling those very issues. We've got the BDF, the Business Development Fund, to help with the startup capital and startup toolkits for some of the of those startups. So it's, as you could understand, I would say that three main things that we need to keep emphasizing on. One is to make sure that our education curriculum and quality is aligned with the demands out there in the market, because I talk to employers every day. They tell me how difficult they find to find the right candidates. Yes. I was at one hotel this morning. They told me that they advertise for management positions, and the only qualified people they get are coming from abroad. So that is an issue that we need to resolve. Secondly, the issue of entrepreneurship development, which goes with the mindset. Because we've seen that when the young people believe in their ability to resolve problems, then they can go out there. But then you need so many other qualities like resilience, like hardworking, like teamwork. All those qualities and attributes, they need to be also acquired during the education. And that's the purpose of putting entrepreneurship in the education system. The third pillar is innovation or startup capital, and the whole environment of doing business at that level of the economic pyramid. So we are working simultaneously on those issues, but I want to say that we are very much open to hear what the young people also want to say. Sometimes we put the responsibility to them, which is okay, and also they send it back to us. So we need that constant dialogue. That's why we created this Youth Connect program, is to be constantly in touch so that we can identify the opportunities of improving what we do as government, but also the youth understand what is their take, what is their role, what is expected of them.
Recreational sports, do you have plans to have more of this?
We have plans. The initial plan we had as of last year, you remember, we even carried out an entire national campaign, is to have recreational facilities in every cell. We have 2,148 of those around the country. It's not an easy problem because every piece of land in this country has an owner. So it depends on the ability for the government to find some money to expropriate landowners to get some space for youth. It's an objective that we currently are pursuing because we understand that recreation is important. But are we using what we have? I always want to send the ball back to the one who asked a question. Every time when I visit, I was in Muhanga the other day, 2 weeks ago. There was a very nice basketball pitch that we made for the youth. I spent 4 hours. It was empty. So what are we talking about? So I think we need to make use of what we have. The usage is going to create more demand, because when there is usage, when there is demand, actually it's no longer an issue for the government to supply. It becomes a market opportunity, and people can start investing in those facilities. So young people go out and play.
We do take a short break with that word from the minister. Young people go out and play. But do keep it the Big Q. When we come back, we keep on digging into your questions. This is the Big Q. Welcome back, and you are watching the Big Q, and today we are hosting and talking to the Minister for Youth and ICT, Honorable Philbert Nsengimana. And before we went to a break, he urged the youth. What did you tell the youth? I
said, young people, go out and play.
Now we have a question. Rwanda is set to host a number of conferences and events related to ICT, especially Transform Africa. Tell us more about these events that are about to take place.
Well, this is again the exciting Transform Africa season. It's now the 3rd edition of the Transform Africa, and you know that this is a platform that brings together decision makers, investors, leaders, youth, to really think about how do we apply these new technologies, how do we harness these opportunities to accelerate the pace at which our continent is developing. This year the focus is going to be on smart cities. Yes. And this is in line with the flagship initiative that His Excellency President Paul Kagame has agreed among his peers to drive, both by providing thought leadership, so he will be unveiling a smart city blueprint for Africa, but also in terms of leading by example some of the things that Rwanda is doing in the areas of smart cities. So there are so many exciting events. There will be a Women Technology Summit. For instance, there will be a Miss Geek Africa competition. There will be so many in store for the participants, and I really want to encourage corporates, schools, both in the country and outside the country, development partners, and people to really join and be part of the Transform Africa 2017.
Is Transform Africa the same as Youth Connect? Youth
Connect is something else, so I think there is potential for conflict and confusion. Yes. I want to really clarify. Transform Africa started in 2013. It's always been a Pan-African program from the beginning. It's championed by His Excellency President Paul Kagame. Today, it's moved from 7 countries to more than 17 countries, and it's an alliance that is really growing, and it's a fantastic platform to shape the future of the continent through technology. Now, Youth Connect Africa, many people know it as the Youth Connect Convention, when the youth are gathered in the stadium, contributing to the national dialogue in December. You know the Youth Connect from the Youth Connect Hangout, for those who have been connected and shared that platform. The Youth Connect Awards, we know the champions. It is that idea that we are taking from Rwanda to the rest of the continent. So the summit, the Youth Connect Summit, is going to happen on July 21st. This year, it will be the inaugural, the first one, but it's going to again become an annual event that will bring together everyone who's working on this continent to extend opportunities to young people. We're talking about and focusing on economic opportunities, but also civic opportunities, civic empowerment, civic participation, social education, this kind of everything that can allow the young people of this continent to realize that opportunities are here, right here at home, and not risk their lives crossing the desert and the seas and looking at the other side of the river as the green one.
Now, cybercrime is becoming a big challenge, and just last year, Rwanda thwarted at least 1,000 threats. What measures are being put in place to see that Rwanda is safe from cybercrimes?
I would say that we have measures at 3 levels. One is the policy and regulatory and legal level. We need to make sure that we have a very clear understanding of what this threat is, and we are prepared from a legal perspective to prosecute those crimes, which are very different in nature, which are cross-border. So it's another challenge, but we need to be prepared on that level. The second most important one is the skills, the people, the capacity that our people have to respond. And as any security issue goes, the first line of defense is the people, the users. So we need to make that users are educated, are informed. They can just perform simple things like you cannot leave your door open at night. So you cannot leave your device open without a protection, without a password, and so on. The third level is the level of expertise in terms of tools and technologies, in terms of support systems, in terms of teams that can intervene in case of attacks and threats.
Yes.
So all those are being developed simultaneously, and as you've heard, the government the cabinet has approved a law, a draft law to put in place a national cybersecurity agency, which will significantly boost the efforts along all those areas.
So before I let you go, how do we adapt to the new ICTs, data trade, robotics? We're already saying we have unemployment, but now the future says we are ready with the robots. How do we adapt to this?
Well, I think our job is to prepare the society for a hyper-connected future. We start, of course, with education, because it is true that some jobs are going to be automated. There is no question about that. But at the same time, there are so many other opportunities for people to become knowledge workers and get into the global market that is now open. So education is going to be the key, but we need to understand where the world is moving. Robotics is coming. Drones are coming. You may say that a driver who used to ferry goods by road is going to be substituted by drones. But remember, there is somebody who assembles the drones, there is somebody who pilots who remote controls the drones. There are people who manages the data that the drone will collect when they fly. So it is a set of different types of jobs other than job loss technically. So there is a competition in this area, and people can do the jobs in other countries without ever leaving their own. So we need to open up those opportunities for our young people to make sure that we are not left behind as the fourth industrial revolution progresses.
Honorable Minister, are we really the ICT hub of Africa? Are we getting there? Is it are we very ambitious?
We are getting there. We are not yet there. I think there are some 4 things that will signal that we have arrived. One is to be the hub of Africa. We need to be the most connected country in Africa.
Yes.
I think we are getting there. There is no other country in this continent that has as much fiber, as much coverage in terms of 4G LTE, as much broadband availability, not use. Usage is something else, but availability, I think we are getting there. The second, probably I think the first, is the thought leadership. Yes. In terms of believing that we need to do it, we need to drive digital transformation. I think the thought leadership is clear from His Excellency the President. Smart Africa is here. President is the champion in the African Union for all ICT matters. So we have the leadership, we have the thought leadership, and we have the connectivity. The third thing is the skills, the talent. Are we competitive, both in terms of numbers and quality? I think, again, it's a journey. We have started a journey. Our schools have understood they need to step up their efforts. We are working with international schools, world-class education institutions like Carnegie Mellon University, African Leadership University, Africa Institute of Mathematics and Mathematical Sciences. So that is part of building the skills we need to be the hub. Finally, we need to provide the best environment of doing business for technology startups. Are we there yet? Are we having the most amount of money available for innovation, for instance? Not yet, but on the front of just doing business, which is an important component, I think we are second in line in Africa. So definitely we'll become the African ICT hub very, very quickly.
Thank you very much, sir, for making time to be with us.
Thank you.
Well, I was speaking to the Minister for Youth and ICT, Honorable Philbert Nsengimana, who says we are on the way to become Africa's ICT hub. Do keep it the big Q, and do remember to send in your questions to any thought leader you feel that we need to bring on board. This is Rwanda TV, and I'm Fiona Mbabazi.